Okay, so Stella got me up before I wanted to get up, so I'm kind of tired. I got been a little grumpy, like I just want to go back to sleep. I even tried for a second, well, for an hour, but then she just woke back up. So I don't know, the fucking archons. That's what I blame it on. Um, but there was a few things I want to talk about because like lately I have been on this the best movies have been coming into my algorithm, and I always just let the universe bring me in something, you know, and I'll put it out there. Well, it's like they can pick up on your mood, anyways, and but I always do like a communication, you know, like I don't know, people would think I was so strange if they really knew why, like. But everybody's gonna go more towards this. I just know because I know what I'm doing is real and it's not just in my head, even though all of the whole world is just in your head. Now I'm getting hot all of a sudden. I should have turned the heater off probably. But god damn, I turn it off before we go to bed. And then when I wake up in the morning, it's so fucking cold. Ugh. It's really cold outside too. Is whatever, they're jacking around with the weather, of course. And it's supposed to be super hot in a couple days, and it's so fucking cold and rainy. And oh, and I just saw footage of floods down in Galveston. I think the guy was riding a boat down the streets, like a motorboat. Like you can't be in too low water in a motorboat because that will hit. Um, and so I don't know how deep his thing was or whatever. But anyways, and that was Galveston. But I know in Houston it was having bad floods and stuff. But all of the oceanfront areas are going to be scooted back. Like, that's just something people are going to have to wrap their heads around. And there's a lot of people who have been up on the ocean fronts, you know, living large for a long time, and that is about to flip. So it's going to, it's kind of weird. It's kind of like, it's a whole bunch of things, but it's kind of weird is like how, like, you could be back further when this all goes down, all of a sudden you're on ocean front. But I think that's not going to be as because I feel like that the ocean is going to come up to the mountains. Like, it's not going to be like up to like, especially living by these mountains and knowing how they are, and it would be treacherous. And the roads and stuff to go over them and stuff, it isn't even all year round. Even though all the stuff with our weather is going to change, everything's going to change, but still throughout that terrain there would be a lot of natural habitat, and so there would be animals and stuff that live there. And but I know we're going to end up having these little flying cars, and that stuff won't matter, but it still wouldn't be like, oh, let's walk to the beach. You'd have to like go over these mountains. And so I bet it's all going to scoot up, but it's just kind of weird because it's like people always think of the people who have all the money are on the water, and it is like, but the water doesn't give a fuck about your money. The water is not going to be like, oh, well, they paid a lot of money for this, so let's be careful. No, the water's going to do what it's going to do. And no amount of money can stop nature from doing what it's going to do. It's, you know, it's its own entity. It's its own energy. And so, and it is, it's weird. And it's weird how so many times, like, these things that come on the TV, like, because this one has a guy, he's just standing, like he's standing in space. All the space is moving around him, but he's got all this color and energy moving around him. And, you know, it is all about this energy, and everything does come out of you. And so, anyways, that it was weird how that was kind of going with what I was seeing in my head with the energy thing, and now I can't remember what I was saying about it. So, anyways, but whatever I was saying, I'm gonna skip around now. Oh, yesterday when I was skipping around, I think I forgot to complete a sentence or a thing, is when I was talking about the core, my core, and how it was cut. Like, like my body was cut every few inches down um, from the time I was 19. And so there was like a lot of action on my torso that I had no idea, which now I'm really feeling like it also has created the part of the scoliosis because what I had noticed, okay, so this may be like all over the place, but so what I had noticed, like I had said, I was falling and stuff all the time. I had no idea. And then when I in 2016, or I think it was around 2016, is when I said I started doing yoga and stuff, and I started going towards this other direction in life, where I was I learned about Reiki and chakras and yoga and all this stuff that I didn't really know anything about. I was, like I had said, when I was young, I had gone into the route of spirituality, and I was I already knew, I already understood. I wasn't out searching for a lot more information. I was focused on my life journey, and I understood about reincarnation. I just had a different way of looking at things in life and stuff. But I wasn't all caught up in like all the time searching what's new in spirituality or something. Like I was just, living my life. And then in that certain point too, I was really wrapped up in the rat race. And so, I had to go through that experience to have it all fall apart because that was so much learning. But so when I was started doing the yoga, and she would try and have us like do these balance things, and I had no balance whatsoever. And I was like, man, what the fuck? Why can't I? And I know people could just stand there totally balanced. They'd just be standing there, and I couldn't even lift one foot. And so that was like showing me something. It had already been showing me something, but I just wasn't clicking on all cylinders, so I wasn't really seeing it. I was wrapped up. This is why I say we get so distracted in life, and we don't pay attention to what we need to pay attention to, because I should have gone further into it when I was already falling, and I should have tried to understand more. And I also had a few more hints. There was some, because I was having a lot of gut problems, and I had heard something about go do a core, not core, pelvic floor work. And I think one doctor had told me, well, we'll send you to a physical therapist. But I was all caught up in the medical. No, I was like, fuck, I don't have time for that. Just give me something, like fix it. I had the same attitude as everybody else. Like I've done a 360 or 180, or I've done a turnaround. And so but I used to be different. So that's why, I can explain these different perspectives, because I've, changed throughout this. And so I was whatever, and plus I was on fucking 18 pills, and half of them were fucking going into my mind, I think. So I was all jacked up. I was a fucking mess. My life was a mess, and all I did was work harder, go to work, get some money. And then, oh, well, you got to go shopping, you got to go out with your friends. And, now I have, because I had teenage daughters at the time, and so, the one is still resentful of me because I made bad choices all the time. I was like here's another guy in those movies where they were like, oh, this is your new dad every few weeks. Like there's so many Lifetime movies that, and I wasn't like exactly like that. But anyways, that was the comparison though. It's like, oh my God, mom's got another husband. I was like pretty bad. So, anyways, but I was a mess, and I have worked on myself, and so I'm not gonna feel bad about being a mess. I fucking overcame some challenges, man, and we all have them. So there's no reason to feel shame over who I was. I fucking conquered that shit, man. I don't play those same games. So I feel good about myself. And so I'm not gonna get caught up in that kind of feeling bad about myself or something. And I feel like I've got food on my face. We were eating a croissant and tea. So, and I had a lot of butter on it. I was like, the butter's dripping down my face. I would do that kind of stuff and not even know, and sit here and have a serious talk, and I got food going down my face. But, it's just the way it is. And anybody who was bothered by that, it would be their thing that they would have to get over. It's like, why do I keep focusing on the butter? Why don't I listen to what she's saying? And then that is something for us to learn from ourselves. And but anyways, so let me get back on the core because I'll skip over that again. So I was doing the yoga thing and I couldn't fucking balance. So then I was like, okay, I gotta do more with this. And that is what, especially while I've been here, I can't remember. I think it was a nurse practitioner who told me practice standing on one leg like while you're brushing your teeth. Just keep practicing. And I'm not sure if she did tell me that, but I'm thinking. So I started doing that all the time. I started doing that and practicing standing on one leg and kept doing it and doing it and doing it. And to the point where, fucking, like I've said, I can do like Karate Kid shit now, I think. Like I can get up there and I've got great balance. But in that process is that I am building my core, because all that took core strength. Like I can do that board thing, you know, that you stand or you lay down and you hold yourself up on a board, or you go down, like both things in there. They're both hard. Like if you do the one with your what is that, planking? If you put the one with your arms straight out, that is different than if you do the one with your arms bent. So both of them have different challenges, but I can do those. And I used to not be able to do those. I used to be like shaking, like, whoa. And, but doing all this stuff and this movement and building my strength and stuff, in that process, I have done some like, it was the one day, and I know it was a few months ago, and I'm sure I talked about it because that was strange, because I, down by my C-section, there's a lot of scar tissue. Like I've lost scar tissue all up in my body. And so I was doing something and I felt like I tore it. I felt like I pulled it free and it hurt really bad. But then it was like, oh my gosh, I've got fucking more movement now. Like, fuck. And I started like seeing the adhesions and seeing like, oh, so we get like, they cut into you and then the scar tissue builds and holds on to things, and it like, that's what I'm saying, it can contort you and stuff, like it can pull you. And I swear to God, that has been a part of my fucking, and just think about that. You know, they cut into my core, had it heal funky, and then to just continue deteriorating to the point where, you know, they have me on 18 fucking pills because I've got scoliosis and I've got spasms and stuff. When I feel like, man, could that have all been preventable? Like, but see, that's the thing, is those are our lessons. That's what we're coming in to learn from. So, you know, it was supposed to happen the way it happened. I can't backtrack and make it go different. It was supposed to go the way it went. And then we're supposed to be able to learn from what it is that we experience. And so I was, confirmation, confirmation. So, or croissant, I don't know. So anyways, I was, doing these pulls and stuff, you know, and I felt it pull, and then I felt it like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm more, and so I have been doing that kind of more, and kind of not just like tearing, like trying to tear, but like massaging the areas that have scar tissue and pushing, and also talking to my body and trying to help it heal, because all those things are scar tissue from old injuries that have more to do than just what they tell us. This is the thing, we're just all, you know, caught up going in the wrong direction on the body thing, because they have us caught up in this flesh and blood concept, and it's more of an energetic vibration thing. And so the let me think. So when I was doing that, it was a few weeks before surgery, or a few months, and I had noticed, and it was in my head so much about the adhesions and them causing contortion, and the need to kind of pull the, even though it hurts, to kind of pull where there's too much scar tissue. And down where my C-section is, they entered my body like 3 or 4 times through there. maybe 4 or 5, I don't know, a lot of times. There's like a whole like thick layer of scar tissue. And then the other day I saw a doctor talking about that on TikTok on a video. And he was talking about the scar, it might have been a woman, and she was talking about the scar tissue after C-sections and all the adhesions and stuff. And so, what was she saying? She was saying something about, um, I don't remember if she was saying about how to break them down. I don't remember what it was, but then it was sticking out to me more. It's like, oh, see, there is all these adhesions. They are in this big thing, and you do have to kind of break them free or something. And so that was just on my mind. And so then I got the surgery, and he's talking about all this muscle and adhesions and all that. And then he wanted the drains to be in there to create adhesions so that my body would. So it's so weird because, like, we're not, this is just, it's so weird when you have the two different opposing thoughts, flesh and blood and not flesh and blood, and putting it all together. But anyways, so he wanted to have those in there to create these adhesions so it would bring the muscle back together because it was irritated. And so then it would scab kind of and create adhesions in their scar tissue so that it would heal. And still this one on the right still is, I don't know if the muscle is just more torn up or what. It's weird because it's this other one was the one that was migrating, and you'd think that this the skin or the muscle under my arm would have more problems, but no, it's this one over here, and this one was like pretty perfect. So yeah, it's weird. I keep thinking, well, maybe it's way like they cut through your nipple, which my nipple is different than before the surgery. That is one thing I have noticed. It's like he did something. So anyways, I was thinking maybe when he cut through there's something, I don't know, it's just got to heal. And then I got to just keep telling myself, it's not real, it's not real, it's not real. But also be open to what it is it's trying to show me. What are you trying to show me? What are you trying to show me? What am I supposed to see? What am I supposed to heal from this? Because your body is alerting you to something. And so, but it's not the same kind of alerts as what we think, because the flesh and blood is a concept to bind you in limitation in the three-dimensional world, process, experience, whatever. And so, when I don't know, while that was all on my mind and stuff, and you're not supposed to be able to exercise and stuff, and knowing how all this is healing, and I was like, man, I really do need to move around and stuff, and still keep that stuff, kind of not in a tight thing where it builds scar tissue. So you're like this, and it's got scar tissue, and then you try and stand up and it pulls the scar tissue and pulls it, and so it keeps you down like that. So I kept kind of breaking it the whole time, is stand up straight, even though it hurts and it's pulling and stuff, standing up straight, pulling my shoulders back, and like this is like hard. And one thing too is like trying to do because now I've got a lot on my torso, and because I have where my gallbladder was, then my belly button. They went through my belly button a whole bunch of times for a bunch of shit. They go in to look through it and everything, and then like every time they do those scopes or whatever, they go through your belly button. There's a lot of shit that they do to your belly button if you got problems, and so builds up more scar tissue. And then down at the C-section, so every few inches on my torso. And so I keep trying to pull straight and stuff, and keep looking, to try and find, because to me it's about finding this internal balance. And so I will use my feet and try and keep them where, it's like I'll try and focus to make sure they're all touching the same. Like there's no, like, I'm not leaning or anything. I'm trying to find where my feet are touching exactly the same and pulling myself straight up and finding this tension line between you and the universe to pull yourself straight up. And then when I do that, like, I can feel where the things are that are pulling. I was like, man, I think that it caused a lot of contortion in my body after, especially, and then you don't even realize, because you are, healing and stuff, and then you're laying around and you're not doing anything, so you don't realize, like, you're getting all this scar tissue that's holding um your gut like that. And then oh no, and there's so many women with so many issues with their guts and stuff, and so many women, they're doing hysterectomies right and left, they're doing all sorts of stuff to us. And it all goes together, because then it creates more issues inside of us, and we are always looking at them to fix it, when it's us that needs to fix something. It's not them. They're taking advantage of us. And so anyways, that is what I was meaning to say yesterday when I was talking about that, is like this pulling that. And so this time I'm trying to make sure that the adhesions and stuff don't build scar tissue where I'm like in some sort of contortion, because I didn't ever realize I was. And like after a C-section, or after you've had that cut, you're always walking like bent over. So it's no wonder that the fucking scar tissue fucking heals all funky. So anyways, that is a thing. So if you do have some, I'm not saying go and try and start ripping your scar tissue. It hurt. It hurt really bad when I did it that day. But then I was like, fuck, this needs to be done. So I keep trying to do it more because I want to really get myself straightened up and, like standing tall. And another thing too that I was thinking about this morning. Well, I've been thinking a lot about, I just went through a giant change on my body, so it's been on my mind. And I have been trying on clothes throughout. Yesterday, I went in to try on some shirts. I had some shirts hanging. I was like, oh, I wonder what those will look like now. And so, because a lot of stuff doesn't fit. Like, some stuff I'll have to, I'm going to alter or whatever. But some stuff, it just doesn't fit. And so I tried on some. I was like, oh my God, I like these way better now. Like, I think they look better now how they fit than they did before. And one thing too, I've noticed, and this maybe is kind of strange, because when I changed my body, it was out of insecurity. It was out of like listening to what other people were saying, and then feeling insecure about myself and feeling like I needed to change myself. I needed to be more attractive. I needed to fix my body. I was really insecure about my chest because I felt like it never developed properly. I felt underdeveloped or something. And so, because that, like I said, I went in when all of us started wearing bras in whatever, 6th grade or something. I stayed in that one and other girls kept growing. Like, this is embarrassing. And I did have hormone problems and stuff. Who knows what all of our stuff, it's not for us to figure it all out. It's for us to go through the pain and the suffering and the consequences so that we can learn. So we're not supposed to be, just figuring it all out ahead of time. We're supposed to experience. That's what we're here for. And so it's just weird because, like, that one lady was like, she's outsmarting the universe because she knew was everything. And it's like, but what are you? Okay. So, anyways, but this is the way I look at life. So, and everybody's got to develop their own way of looking. But, I've got to share mine because there's like a lot of things that people say that I think are so strange that I do not understand at all. And so anyways, with the scar tissue thing, did I finish about that? And working on myself. Oh yeah, the body thing. So I was trying on those shirts, and it's been on my mind so much about my own insecurities and replaying different scenarios and different things people said to me and looking at it and seeing, how it just continued to build me up to feel insecure. And I've said before, so much of it was comments by women. Were so much women are, I feel like women are pretty notorious for, I don't know, breaking our body, each other's bodies down, and and I feel like it's not out of meanness per se. I feel like it is out of, like, we've been in a time in the world process of humanity is for them to learn and grow. So it's all been this process. But this is where people are going to see the consequences to how they were looking at things. But anyways, we had all these lessons everybody was trying to learn and see. And there was a push. They have pushed through trends. What's your body? What's the acceptable body? Like what they did with the Kim Kardashian one. And I didn't even think she had that good a body. That's one thing. There's probably a lot of girls, who really liked it and they wanted to look like that. But I think that that's because they've probably lost track of their own body. I don't know if I had already said this, but I had seen this girl. I've seen a couple of these different videos now. This one was a girl, and she said that she was 5'7", and that she used to weigh 130, but she was miserable. She felt like she couldn't eat whatever she wanted, and she was counting calories all day long. She would stress out if she went over 1,400. See, this is no way to live. This is a living in lack. This is what people don't understand. It's your attitude. It's what you're looking at. So anyways, but there's lessons. So she was at the mindset of living in lack. She's counting every fucking thing. Kind of like what I was just doing with my money, counting it all out. Like, okay, when I get my check, I'm gonna pay those. So I can sit there and talk about this. But I'm not doing it in judgment. So, anyways, she was saying that she was miserable, and she was much happier once she stopped doing that. And I don't know how much she weighs now. I don't even know if I listened to the whole video. Then I saw another video yesterday, and this guy, only part I remember is he was saying no girl looks good at 130 pounds. Only a normal weight for a woman should be 150. And it's ridiculous to think that they should weigh less unless they're like 5 foot. 130 is like, this is a young guy, so he has not lived in the 70s and 80s. Like, he didn't live at a time when people were smaller, I think. And so, anyways, I went on to the thing, and I said, my height and weight, and like, because I'm 5'8", 125, and I said, it has more to do with your frame. It has to do with your body. Like, there isn't one size. Like, I weigh 150. There is a lot of fat hanging off of my body, and my stomach is real poofed out, and and that pulls on my back. It's uncomfortable. Like, I'm not going to go and weigh a weight that is acceptable by people and be uncomfortable in my own body. Like, I'm over that. Like, got people doing that to me for a fucking long time, telling me I was fucking toxic, I was anorexic, I was all this stuff because I would eat in a way to not keep myself like small, but I had a certain way of eating. It was a natural thing to me of the, what is that called? The thing that they do, intermittent fasting. So that was a thing I did naturally. But people would say shit like, oh, you haven't even eaten all day? Like, I was like, no, but it wasn't a thing then. Now it's more acceptable. Well, I'm an intermittent faster. Oh, okay. Well, and still, our society has become adapted to a larger size body. So there's still, as things change over, there's still going to be pressure on people, who are really going towards taking care of themselves and stuff. And and there is a part of letting go of this consumption mindset. But it's a process, so, no shame on anybody who's still in it, but there's different ways of being, and they want to keep pulling us all into being this certain way, and then the people who are in that want to keep everybody there. It's like, I'm not going to stay there. I'm going to eat to how I feel right. And to me is, and it's not a struggle or a challenge. It's not like I'm living in lack. Fuck, I'm fucking eating cookies and bread and butter all day long. Pies, all sorts of shit. And But the thing is that I think makes the difference is cooking from scratch and detoxing and not drinking. I think so many people have alcohol is just like, having a couple beers after work or a couple drinks or a glass of wine or whatever. That's just a part of people's lifestyle. That's why I'm always saying it's a lifestyle change, because it used to be a part of my lifestyle too, and it adds like 15 or 20 pounds to you. It's like, well, I choose to have where I feel more like light on my feet. I feel better. I feel like, so I would choose to not drink the alcohol for me. That doesn't, I mean, everybody gets to do their own. But it's crazy because like 1 or 2 glasses of wine a night literally adds on like 15 pounds. And people are always thinking, well, it's not that much. Couldn't add on that much. It's like a glass of wine. I don't know what happens in our bodies, but it does. And I'm not the only person who said that. There's a lot of women who have stopped the 1 or 2 glasses of wine at night, have said the same thing. It can add on 15, 30 pounds. And so the not drinking on a regular thing, I'm not going to say I'm like a teetotaler and I never will have another drink, because I might want to have a margarita. Maybe I'll want to have a mimosa sometime. I think I more tend to look through for alternatives now. And even when I've had a margarita, like I drink it so slow. And I really don't want to fuck with my brain chemistry and stuff. So, and I don't know, I just don't think that drinking is all that important to me anymore. And so it's easy to let go of, and not going out to eat. And that happened organically just by living so far from town. It's like, fuck, I'm not gonna drive in to go out to eat all the goddamn time. And then it was like, we're so quick that quarantine happened and it just reevaluated everything about going out to eat to me. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that people were so fucking scared of a sickness, but then they're ordering food and having someone else cook it. I was like, that just makes no sense to me. Nothing happening here makes sense to me. And so, I've had those things to think about and look at. But through the process, anyways, I have just lost weight. And it wasn't like I was trying. Before, though, when I was, because I talked about this, and it was a few years ago, and I said, put it into your mind, because this would have been while I was recording. So this all happened, but I think it was a few years ago. And I said, you put it in your mind, you picture what it is you want to look like. And when I did that, and I started putting it into my mind what I wanted to look like, I kept going back to like my high school body. I kept thinking, well, I want to go back and be there, because it was before I had kids and I felt more comfortable. And so I kept picturing that, how I looked then, and kept seeing that in my mind, is that's where I want to go, and telling my body. And so then my body started telling me, what to eat. And that's when they started, I would get up and do these little exercises in the room all of a sudden. And I'd start being like, oh, okay. So I got into like this routine, and then you find yourself looking like that. And I was, but it wasn't like how people think. It wasn't like sitting here counting my calories and starving. Like I like I said, I eat shit that people who are counting their calories wouldn't touch. Like I go through so much fucking honey. And so, see, to me, it's the natural stuff, the stuff that, because I used to think like, fuck, eating honey, I'm going to become so fat. I can't eat honey all the time. I'll be fat. I eat it all the time and I'm not fat. And so, and butter, I go through a ton of butter. And I don't forget too, that was one of the things they tried to keep me on medicine for, was my high cholesterol. But I eat so much healthy fats that it closes that gap. So when they tell you that you're too high of cholesterol, what you need to do is start going at it with all healthy fats. Just fucking overload your body with healthy fats, and it finds its own balance. Because I was like, I took the meds for a while, like back when I was like on fucking 18, and I took Lipitor or something. And maybe that was one that I went off of, I don't remember, because they just put pressure on you and pressure on you and pressure on you. And that is one thing that has been in these movies too. There's been so many good movies I wanted to talk about. I'm going to hit some stuff on a few of them. So I'm going to, but another thing too, I wanted to say over the body thing was that, on my own insecurities where, in the trend pushing, a certain body type and feeling like, if I want to look like that, I'm going to have to do this. And, but still, you can't fix it. Just like I saw a girl yesterday who she went and got a facelift, and she's like only like seems like she's 45, and so she went and got a facelift, and all of this, so from like this whole thing going all the way around, and then a great big scar right there. So it's all white, like she has a big white stripe with a big white circle here. So big white stripe going around. And so she said she got the facelift, but now she's got this scar. So when she pulls her hair back, it's so fucking obvious that she can't stand it. Because there's always, when you're here to learn about how to be more secure, that's not gonna go away. And so the lesson remains because you've got to learn the lesson. And so she went in to get it tattooed. And, I don't know. I mean, she thinks that's going to help, but, your skin changes colors. The tattoo ink isn't going to change colors. So she's always going to have a stripe. And then they didn't even have it covered good here. There was a big circle. I was just like, dude, just fucking admit, like, just tell people, yeah, I got a facelift, fuck. I don't know if I would do it if I was you, because you get a big old scar, but, try and hide it and pretend like you didn't get one. It's like, be real, be honest. And then that helps you get over your insecurities. But anyways, she went and got that tattoo and stuff. Oh yeah, and also in the one with the weight, with that one guy who said all women should weigh 150. Nobody should weigh less than 150, is all the comments in the thing. Gosh, there was so many men commenting, and they were all like, oh man, they were all like ridiculing their wives and their exes for being too fat. And then there was some girls in there like, oh yeah, I'm so much happier in my body at 150. I feel so, like there was one girl who was 5'9", and she said when she was 130, because I used to be 5'9" and 130, and I liked my body. And she said she felt like a praying mantis. Well, I've even said, I'm part praying mantis. And so you got to be what's right for you, what's comfortable for you. Just because like I feel like good when I'm like, I don't want to be a heavy insect. I want to be like, go, go, go. And, and some girls, they like to have more cushion on them. They don't want to feel bones and stuff that bothers them. And it has so much more to do with stuff that's deeply internal in us. So that isn't where, we all need to conform to one identity. No, we just have to, be ourselves and let everybody else be themselves. Like there's nothing wrong with me for being comfortable in my body, and there's nothing wrong with her for being comfortable in her body, just because it's two different ends of, the weight thing. I mean, I'm not saying like she's overweight or something, because it doesn't have anything. I mean, I don't know what her body frame is. And that's one thing, is you can't tell somebody like, well, you have to weigh a certain amount, because my body frame is not the same as other people's body frame. And so, and so anyways, that whole thing is we need to just be more open to being in our own, not comparing and having to feel like we're like somebody else, because our body is not their body. And so what if they feel more comfortable at 150? But anyways, in the comments. And another thing too is I was really glad I didn't remove that comment now that I was being attacked for days. Like it was just nonstop with these women. Tell me I'm a pick me and all this stuff. It was just absurd. I couldn't even read it anymore. I was just getting so irritated. So I just skip all those. But a couple of them have popped up and just like stood out to me, and they have all been so nice. Oh my gosh, there was even somebody who just told me that they had seen me comment on something, and so they came into my page and they were looking at my content, and I'm just such a kind person. They just had to tell me. And I was like, wow, that is really sweet. And so I was, it made a big turn. And then so I went to look to see, because I keep getting likes, somebody liked your comment, somebody liked your comment. And it's like 2,236 people have liked that comment now. And there was 222 comments and under mine. Mine's the top of all of the things that have been having all the action on there. There's other ones that have a lot of action on his thing, but mine has got a lot. But if I would have removed it, see, all those 2,000 women, they would have been stuck with just that other narrative. Once somebody steps over the line and says, hey, this is another way of looking at things, then it's like a relief to people, because it's like trapped inside of them. It's like, this world makes no sense, but everybody's saying this. But we need people to come out and say shit that doesn't match what everybody else is saying, because that is where we go like, oh, okay, yeah, okay, oh, yeah, see? And as so many people get a sense of relief from hearing something that makes sense to them. And so, that's why we have to open the conversations more and keep them going and talking. But anyways, that made a big turn. Now it's like, makes me feel really good. But one thing too that I wanted to say was, it has been watching movies is where I learned how to accept my own body, because it would be seeing somebody on the screen that had a similar body to mine. And there's two people that come into my mind. It was Keira Knightley and this girl who was on the L Word. And she is kind of a boyish character. Anyways, she had the same kind of body as mine, and both of them. And when I would see them on the screen, I would always think, they look good. Why was I so hard on myself? Gosh, I love how that looks. And, just flat down. And I don't know, it's like a narrow kind of chest wall for how tall I am, I guess. And flat chested, but, it didn't match. Like, there's a lot of popular figures. My body was not in there. And so I was insecure. But then when those girls came onto the screen and stuff, and I would be like, why did I think I looked bad? But it's like I had to come to that into my own mind. Was it like the other people who, wants us all to conform and be similar, or, have you look worse than that? Who knows what all's going on? But but then when you can get into that place of being like, I like how that looks. Why would I have changed myself? I don't like how it looks. The other thing, I don't find that more attractive. I like that, and I've always been kind of, like I said, I've never been somebody who wanted to show a bunch of cleavage and busty. I've always had kind of a boyish shape. But I felt unaccepted until I saw it on some other people. And then I could be like, okay, it looks good. But it's weird how we can't do that for ourselves. We can't just look in the mirror and see it and go like, oh, I look good. It looks fine. No, we'll hear everybody else's voices. Oh God, too bad you don't have any boobs. Too bad you're like, whatever. You get everything sticking in your leg. Oh, you got those long legs. You got those wide hips. You got those, like, all this stuff that people say. And even the fucking doctor, when he put the boobs in, when I wanted small ones, just wanted the skin filled in from the nursing, and he decided, no, you need some big boobs to go with those big ass hips of yours. It's like, dude, I don't think my hips are that big, but I don't have any butt to balance them out. But yeah, in comparison to my chest, and I just remember being a kid and being so stuck on that too. And my sister, we would have these discussions because I was trying to understand, what do I look like? What is my, because I would go around all these other girls and I wasn't just like one of them. I was always like looking different. And so I was always comparing myself. But anyways, it has been a long journey to get to the point of like accepting yourself and liking yourself and seeing yourself as value, not seeing yourself as like, you need to be different, you need to change, you need to have boobs, you need to have this, you need to have that. It's like, no, you don't really. What you need to do is find peace. find, a peace of mind and acceptance of yourself. And you do have to go through all these insecurities because there is a whole world out there is trying to reflect a certain thing to you. And it takes a lot inside of you to be firm and sure of yourself through all of the different things sparking off. And so that's part of the journey and part of the challenges. But fuck, it feels good when you start getting to that point and feeling like, fuck, I'm finding myself again. I'm getting myself back to where, like I've said, it's like the person you're running from ends up being the person you're running to. And so it is, and it's all about learning to accept yourself. Because until you do, you're running from yourself. And then once you start accepting yourself, then you're running to yourself, like with open arms, like, I'm sorry I wasn't there for you. I'm sorry I listened to them. It's like it's like this whole reunion to self. And so anyways, I think it's really cool. And but in some of these movies, so I got to talk about a couple of these things. As one of the movies was, I've gotten some old true stories, and I just love it. Oh, but this one I just watched was really good, and it was called it was something with the woman. I think it was like it was a really old movie. Um, oh, I can't think of it. I could share it or whatever on that thing, but this woman who liked this guy. I don't want to give away the whole story, but it was so good because I don't know, all these different things. I can see like these soul stories playing out, and this woman, uh, it seems like I gotta tell too much of the story to say, but anyways, she had so much guilt, and how the guilt was eating her alive. And that is one thing, is it's so true, is that guilt will eat you alive. You have to face yourself. You have to be honest. You can't hide from yourself. And going through life and always trying to hide from yourself is nothing but a burden. And you'll learn it when you get to your life review, but holding on to something to try and make it not be real or something, you're better off facing it. You're better off letting it go. It is going to be like freeing out. That's the releasing of the demons. That's the letting shit go. The stuff you're holding on to so fucking tight is a burden. And then you got to let it go. It will eat you alive. And but that was an old black and white movie. I'll share a link to it. It was really good. And then this other one that I watched yesterday this one was trippy too, because this happened in Dallas Fort Worth when I was in high school. And so this was like around 76. So this would have been just when I was going into high school, I think, because I graduated 79. And there was this big case that happened, and I didn't remember all this stuff. And this movie just popped up. And so it had Peter Strauss, Heather Locklear, and it's about Colin T. Davis, I think his name was. And so some of the stuff they were talking about, I was like, oh my God, I remember when that was in the news. I remember when his attorney, race car or something, when they kept talking about him in the news and stuff. So it was like this flashback, but I couldn't remember all the details. I didn't remember all of the stuff. So it was still like, while I was watching it, was like, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? It was so fucking O.J. Simpson. And this was in the 70s, and this was in Dallas, Fort Worth. And, and I'm sure this has gone on in lots of big cities. But if these fucking rich guys can get away with fucking murder. And this guy showed, like, he was a fucking criminal the whole time. I mean, he was a criminal. And real rich, but there's a lot of people who become real rich being criminals. And and then he got a lot of money off of his dad, and his dad, I think, was abusive, but this guy had issues. And even when it was first starting, and these people were all these hoity-toity. This is the energy I was leaving from in Dallas. There was like a lot of where I was like, man, this is not my scene. I need out of this reality. And I went to SoCal, but in this one, so it's all these people were all like the hoity-toity elitist at the rodeo, all the rich people looking down their noses at everybody, probably have resources and shit. And so they were all like super snooty and just that kind of looking down on people. And then Heather Locklear, she is like a regular person, but she's like a really pretty girl. And so she gets a lot of attention for her looks and her body. So she dresses for attention. And so she knows, she gets attention the way she's going to get attention. And so, of course, draws in this rich guy, and he's all about it. And so he wants that. And, he's got to own that pretty girl. And so, Lee, I don't remember if they had some long affair or whatever, if he just quickly left his wife and married the other girl. And then right away, he didn't like her. This is what happens. This is what I've tried to say to people, is you cannot pick somebody for how they look. You just can't. There's going to be things that are going to be a problem, just like having the scar going around. Like there's going to be another side to it. And so he picked her because she was hot. But then she had a personality that he didn't like. She was flirty, but guys were always flirting with her. And he didn't like that because, he was a rich guy who got what he wanted. And, you don't have a wife who's out being manhandled by other guys. And so that pissed him off. And there was a lot of things like she was new at having money. She wanted to spend it all. And she wanted this and wanted that. And he was very indulgent to what she wanted for a while. But then she did things that started making him embarrassed. One of the things, there was a huge scene. They were at like a ball or something, and they were dancing, and she put her hand on his butt. And he was so fucking outraged. He made the biggest fucking scene in this place. And she left. I think she split up for a while and went to another place, had an affair. But she wanted to... I don't know, because it was like she loved him, but he was so abusive. God, he was abusive. At one point, he was mad at her because she had her daughters from other marriages that were there at this big mansion. And one of the daughters got a kitten, and the girl didn't set the alarm at night, so he went and killed her kitten, picked up her kitten, threw it on the ground as hard as it could right in front of her. And said that's what happens to people when they don't set the alarm. Rich little girls get killed and all this stuff. He was just a psycho. He was just drunk too. And so, and then he decided, he hated Heather Locklear at this point. And so, and she was holding on for dear life over the money. And so she stayed in the house. She got orders to stay in the house. And then she started living her life. She was having parties all the time and dating all sorts of guys. And he got in a relationship with somebody too. But everything she did, I think, really pissed him off because he was the one paying for it all. And he wanted out of that Mary. He wanted rid of her. And so he went over and to kill them all. He killed her little girl and her boyfriend. He shot her dead ass in the chest. And she went down onto the ground, and she was laying there looking up, and she could see him. And he had on a wig and all this stuff. And then her boyfriend came to the door. It was a kitchen swinging door because she had walked into the kitchen. And then I guess he was in there, shot her. And she didn't even see her daughter was laying there dead on the floor. And then so she's laying there after she's been shot in the chest. She's looking up at him. And the other guy's walking up, so he turns, and the guy tries to shut the door real quick, and he starts shooting through the door, kills that guy. Then somebody pulls up in the driveway, and they can hear her screaming inside, and so they start screaming outside, "What's going on? What's going on?" It was one of the young girls and her boyfriend, and so the boyfriend goes, "I'll go up and see what's going on." And so he walks in, he gets shot, and he becomes paralyzed. He got shot in the back. The girl takes off running through the field, and she gets away. But while this is all going on, Heather, I almost said Heather O'Rourke. It's weird because they both have blonde, The other one, she had fake blonde hair. But anyways, so she gets up and takes off running with this fucking hole in her chest. And she had still had this injured ankle from right after their big fight. And she had gone to Vermont, and I don't know, she hurt herself. And so she had this injured ankle for a really long time. And she had to walk with a cane and stuff. And then, but so she took off running and got over to these people's house and called the police and whatever. And the guy fucking got away with it. He everything that they would do, and I already saw this in court because I've been on to court for my own case, and people just lie. Like, fucking say that people are going to say the truth because the Holy Bible. Are you fucking kidding me? It's so fucking absurd. And so you need to have fucking hooked up on lie detector tests while you're sitting there if you're going to fucking put him up there. And so he fucking lied through the whole thing, and they threw her totally under the bus. I remember all this drama going on too. And he made like she was this deranged, slutty girl who was having sex with kids and all this stuff. And they really just trashed her. And her daughter had been killed. She was like devastated over her daughter being killed. And she saw him. She knew it was him. And he knew that she knew. And then he was set out to finish the job. And people who knew him and knew of his personality and stuff knew. But there was other people who were in so denial that just wanted to be his friend. And it just reminded me so much of like the OJ case too. And even when he went to do one of his, I think it was that trial, all these women were showing up at court, bringing him gifts, bringing him pies and cakes. They all loved him. And then, he's a fucking murderer, for God's sakes. So anyways, I watched that yesterday for a long time, and there was so much stuff playing out where I can see like all these soul stories playing out. And there was another one too. Oh, there was a really good movie I watched called Sister. And it was really good because it kept giving so much disclosure, like of he was this toxic mother, and she had decided after her kids had all grown up and moved out, she needed to adopt a new child, so she had something to do. But then it was a burden because everything in life was all about her, and she didn't want to be bothered with the child, so she sent the child to boarding school. Then she had some circumstance happen, so she had to go into the mental hospital. Her husband got killed, and it fell on the son to go and take care of this daughter, and he was resistant to it. But then they started developing this relationship because he started, seeing that this girl was going through the same stuff he went through as a child. Mizzy kept, it's like, this isn't my sister. What the fuck are you talking about? But then when he started seeing, what she's going through is so similar to what I went through. And there was some really good things about, because the mom had put the kid on medicine when he was young. She did all the finest doctors to get this kid on medicine. And then she did the same thing to this little girl, and she had her all on all these medicines. And he wanted to take her off of them. He knew, she was going to do better without him. The girl she was insecure about it. She was like, well, I got to take him. I've been taking him for so long. And then he had the doctors fighting him. But there were some really good scenes. There's a lot of really good scenes that I think were very thoughtfully played out to get people to think for themselves in that movie. I thought that movie was really good too. And there was more than just the medical. There was a bunch of different things that they show it, how they show it. It was like, this got to get people to think, to get people to open their minds and see things in a different direction. And then there was another one that I had seen that was a true story of, and this one's in the 80s, and it was a woman who, she was a church lady, and her church had decided to start going to this prison to try and help the inmates, and she didn't want to do it. And she was somebody who was like living in a small town, working in a manufacturing place, and she just lusted for something more. She just wanted out of this town. She wanted more. She wanted excitement, and she wanted to live, and that is one thing too, is like, you have to sometimes take a risk for the things you want. You have to push towards the things you want. You can't just sit back and, so And there was a guy in town who liked her, and he wanted her to come to something, and she was like, oh my God, I don't want to go there, so I have to go to the prison. Like, she wasn't going to go, but then she was like, okay, well, I'm going to the prison. Can't make it to your party, sorry. And I have to go do my Jesus duties. And so she went, and she was kind of scared of all the inmates at first, but this one came up, started talking to her and flirting with her, and so then she kept going and talking to him and talking to him, and then him and the guy started scheming, because this is how it goes, and started saying, you know, how to manipulate her to get her to help them do a prison break. And so she, even after the church had stopped going, she kept going. And she was starting to fix herself up. She was getting herself all fixed up. She was really digging this guy. And his friends were like, you know, let's do a prison break. And so they got her involved in this big prison break. And like, she stole a helicopter, or she kidnapped a helicopter driver and had him fly this helicopter into the prison, land. These guys ran up, jumped on, and she's holding this guy by gunpoint. She's this real sweet, oh, it's okay, I you know, like, it's so funny. And it's just so funny, the whole movie. I can share that link too, because you know, she's so different than these guys. And but she's bringing something to the table. Like, they're all learning from each other. But it was like 5 days of this wild prison break, staying in hotels, drinking, having sex, and, you know, she got to have this big romantic thing with this guy. And it was like, I don't know, her best thing that ever happened to her in her life. And she ended up getting like 37 years or something. All those guys, they ended up getting like 40 years for it too. And they even asked for her to have less, that she wasn't a criminal, she'd never be a criminal again. And they didn't give a fuck. That's how our system works. They're gonna punish you, they don't give a fuck. They're creating criminals. So they gave her 37 years. So when she was gonna get carted off, she started talking to the guy and saying, he was saying, you know, he's sorry and stuff. And she was like, that was the best, you know, like, she can live happy now. She had the best 5 days of her life. Like, that was the most excitement. And I don't know what her life ended up being like or anything, but I don't know. That movie was really, like, I could just see all these different things of, you know, she was following her dreams, but it was taking her in a dark way. You know, she could have, you know, knowing that she wanted something more, she could have gone into a different direction. But see, everything is about learning, and the lessons. It's about making choices and learning from the repercussions, learning from your experience. And then looking at it for the best. Like, it's a good thing that she looked at it was the best 5 days. It was worth losing 37 years over. But she could have got out with good behavior, and she could have, you know, got all involved in the church and the prison and was very, very happy. You know, she wasn't out doing a lot of stuff before. So, you know, she just went to church and sang and stuff. So, and had guys wanting to be involved with her she didn't want to be involved with. So, you know, she got to make those changes. And because you can just see how everything can change. Like, when you have better boundaries, when you follow what it is, your desires, not trying to, you know, match what somebody else has or what somebody else's desires are, but to figure out what your own desires are. And if you want, you know, romance and excitement, I don't know, there's a more positive way to go at it. Like, and to go and, you know, do a prison break. And when I worked at the prison for those, because I only worked there for, I think it was like 2 weeks or something. It was really not very long. And I did have a guy slip me a note. And I kind of figured, you know, a girl going, you know, into a prison and all these men and stuff. But the guy, he worked in the infirmary. And that's where, you know, I was, because I was a nurse. And so I thought like he was a better prisoner or something. I didn't know, like, no, that was just like, no, he's just about as the rest of them. And so when he passed me a note, I didn't want to get him in trouble. You're supposed to tell immediately. And I didn't want to get him in trouble. So I just wrote a note back and said, look, I'm married. And you know, thanks for your nice thing, but no thanks. And so and then he sent me another note, I think. And so I had told another nurse, and she was a by the book person. So she went and told on me that I didn't report his first note. So I got fired because I didn't report his first note. And, but then years later, I got pulled into court because that guy was, he was, you know, somebody who, women, had his way with women against their will. That is his crime. And that he will also manipulate women and all this stuff. It was a whole thing. And he was doing it to a whole bunch of women and trying to, I don't know. I don't remember all the charges and stuff. I had to go in and do a thing at the, with the DA and tell about what happened in my experience. But anyways, he ended up getting more years. And even with the note thing that happened to me, he got moved to a different prison. And then he got in more trouble. He just got in more and more trouble. So, anyways, yeah. but I don't know. I'm always. I just think different. Like, I don't follow the rules. I try and follow my own rules by what is inside of me, what feels right and what feels wrong. And it didn't feel right to me to go, you know, he wrote me a note. It was like, okay, well, I can handle this. Tell him, don't write me any notes. And then when he continued, that's when I got uncomfortable. But, you know, I should have, in hindsight, went and told on the first one. But also, that wasn't a job that I was meant to keep at all. But I did have a lot of things that I learned in that. And that's where I learned about the Hep C shots, because there was all these guys waiting for them. And I learned how expensive they were. And these people who had Hep C, that they were scared shitless they were going to fucking die without these shots. And so that is, you know, when I found out that I had cured myself from Hep C, that's where I was like, all this reference that I had of this other experience of like, dang, most people didn't need those fucking shots. They needed to have that fucking strength or willpower or whatever. They could have just healed themselves. I think so much of our healing just has to do with us taking time. Just, you know, not pushing ourselves so hard, not rushing around, you know, listening to your body. When your body's saying, I'm tired, to respect it. When it's saying I'm hungry, to respect it. That's another thing that is important too, is so many people get out of the thing. They eat at a feeding time. It's like they set feeding times for you to eat. This is when you eat. This is when you have your snacks. This is when you eat. This is like, we're not in fucking kindergarten. Listen to your body. Your body will tell you what you want to eat. And if you want to lose weight, there is ways to lose weight, but it has to do with all up in here. And that is your easiest way. It's like healing your emotional and mental stress. Your body will heal itself. And I keep telling your body what it is that you want from it. And then listen to it when it tells you what it wants from you. Like when it was telling me, you know, go and do this, do that, eat this and eat that and all that. I knew it was taking me towards my vision. And it wasn't doing it through starvation. It wasn't doing it through deficit. It was doing it through healing and letting go and taking care of myself. And part of that was learning about detoxing and about the chemicals, the minerals, all these different things. It all goes in together. It's all part of when you put your sights on something. And I don't remember what it was when it very first started. I mean, this has been, you know, a whole journey. So I can't say like the initial thing, oh, well, this happened and that's when I decided. I don't remember what it was, you know, because I didn't think that anything was wrong with my body to begin with. I mean, I felt like, you know, I could have lost 10 pounds or something, but it wasn't like it was going to drive me crazy or anything. It was like, you know, I felt like I looked fine. And then, and I had lost weight after, you know, getting off all the meds and stuff. There was still like this 10 or 15 pounds. But when I was doing bad, yeah, I weighed like, when I was doing my worst, I weighed like 40 pounds more. And that's why, like, I have not just weighed 1 pound, one weight. I've weighed a variety of weights. I've just never gone past being more than 40 or 45 pounds over my weight from high school. And I know a lot of people have gone past that. A lot of people haven't, but a lot of people have. And that is a struggle for them. But the but anyways, I've been in, a couple different sizes. I've worn different size clothes and stuff, and I knew where I felt more comfortable. I knew where I felt more better, inside my body. And so whatever it was, I was thinking, and I was like, I'm just going to tell myself, I'm going to tell my body, I'm going to focus on what it is I want. And then I'm just going to go with it. I'm just going to see what my body does, see what my body says. It was something that I was seeing and hearing at the time. And it went with old reference material because I already knew that that was true. I already knew that that was real, that you could do that. And I think I had done it before. I just can't remember like all the things of how I remember this or that. But anyways, that kind of stuff works. Like if you just go, but there's a lot of things that you have to make them work. Like you can't just go and tell your body like, oh, I want you to look like this, and then just go live your life doing whatever. You have to be listening to what your body's telling you. And it's going to probably say, well, don't drink that beer, or, whatever it is. A lot of times it's, mine is definitely about don't eat. There is definitely a thing to our cycles and where the sun is and stuff. And I definitely feel like it's not good to eat as the sun's going down. It's better to eat as the sun's coming up. And then it's better to eat your biggest amount when the sun's straight up. And then when the sun starts going down, you should start winding down. That's just how I look at it. And so anyways, the it is there's just different things that each person will figure out. Because one thing too on this thing with the copper, I have had so many different people come in, and there's one person who was just drinking moringa. They were telling me, oh, you got to drink moringa tea because that turned my hair back to natural color. There's people who, all sorts of things. Like I'm telling you, it just has to do with living a more healthy lifestyle. And there was one woman too. What was that one? Because she said that whatever she does, she's been doing it. And I think she's 45, she said, and she still looks like she's 30. She has not aged at all because she does all these things. That's why I keep saying, like, the aging that you've done is the damage you've done to yourself, which you can try and reverse it. But that the the people who learn this stuff ahead won't age. There is no aging. It is this, it's poisoning us. It's, it's killing us. And that's what they want to call aging. So, and the more that you go into the lifestyle of, to me, it's kind of like the easy one. Buy fast food, go have some drinks with your friends, eat pizza and hamburgers and stuff like that. And it's full of so much chemicals and toxins, and then drinking, not dealing with your stuff. And then a lot of times when you're drinking, you create more drama, and then you're not dealing with that. So it is, it's just an unhealthier way of living. It's way more healthy to think about what you're taking in, and to, we'll always have movement, and then all the stuff with balance. That's why I think yoga, Tai Chi, stuff like that is so much better for you, because there's like a going into this concentration and breathing and movement and stuff. So those things are really good for you. And you got to think about your energy. So you got to be letting this energy out. You got to be releasing it. And then it becomes stagnant, just like on this whole concept of this lymph. You could get stagnated energy. That was the thing that lady was saying about the C-section scarring, that there is so much lymph built up. And you need to learn how to do lymph drainage exercises and stuff. So around the scar tissue and stuff is a lot of fluid and lymph. And that's in the flesh and blood concept. But in energy, that is an inner, like, there's a problem here. And it's something that wasn't dealt with. And so now there's all this energy here. And so that is where you have to go in and try and break up that energy. And so that, it's just a different way of looking at it, different way of looking at things. And it's all up in here of how you look at things and what you look at and what you pay attention to and how you perceive. And everybody's in this growth time of expansion so that you start seeing things in different ways. And there's so much going on. Oh my gosh. There's so much going on. And it's definitely building up. Like we're building up to a big finale for sure. And oh yeah, there's some weird cloud stuff going over by California. And then this weird stuff with these storms, like, I don't know. I'm just like, I feel on edge about the earthquake. Like, it's got to be coming. It's got to be coming. And it's like, how big is it going to be? Is it really going to crack up the whole fucking thing? Is it going to come up here by where I am? Because that's what they're saying. And about the water rising and stuff. But my house is a little bit up too. As I start noticing all this different stuff. Like my neighbor's house, hers is ground level. Mine, you have to go up 2 steps. And, but also mine's like on this little hill thing. So there would be more like water. But anyways, if it raises too much, I don't know. I don't know. You just got to go with the flow. Seriously, you just got to, as things go, just keep on trusting yourself. Like, okay, I'm here for this. I'm fine. There's nothing to worry about. There's nothing to be scared of. And it is challenges, that's for sure. Because there's a lot of scary stuff going on. There's a lot of, you know, just a lot of stuff happening. A lot of shaking up everything. And anyways, I won't be able to go through all that. And I've been talking for a long time. Hopefully, you know, I've said something to help somebody. But anyways, I just think that it's important to just expand how you look at things. Don't get too stuck on just looking at it, and don't get stuck on looking at it through like the majority. That's the narrative. That's the script. That's what they want to keep us on. You got to pull free from the script and take a chance and be outrageous and say something that's off script. And let them all, you know, that, what is that called? Is the script, but then there's the, I can't think of what it's called. When, unscripted, when the people just say the things. But I can't think of what that's called now. But anyways, the stay off the script, stay off the narrative. And when you hear people say things that don't make sense to you, don't try and conform yourself. You don't have to argue with anybody, but you also don't need to change yourself. You need to learn how to trust what's inside you, your inner information, and learn how to trust that and to get comfortable with your inner knowing. And because you know a lot. You know a lot more than you think you know. And you're a lot older than you think you are. You're a lot wiser than you think you are. You're a lot more special than you think you are. You know, you're a lot more important than you think you are. You're a lot more significant than you think you are. Like, so anyways, and you got to remember through the whole thing to love yourself. And you got to love everyone. Everyone needs love. And it's up to you to have a loving day. So you got to make that choice. So have a choice to have a loving day and love everybody. And I'll talk to you later.